What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. In this one, we have I visited the world's most bikeable suburb. Before we dive into the video, if you guys happen to enjoy, please don't forget to subscribe. Give the video a thumbs up. Also, if you like to support the channel by becoming a member, all you gotta do is hit that join button to receive your exclusive benefits. Let's get to it.
15-minute cities.
What is a
15-minute city?
15-minute city?
15-minute city.
15-minute cities. Have you heard about 15-minute cities?
I have not.
There's no question that Los Angeles is a car-centric city. Last year, fewer than 5% of Angelinos took transit, walked, or biked to work. But honestly, you don't need statistics to prove the obvious. I'm here in a grocery store parking lot right in the middle of the city. The neighborhoods nearby are actually pretty dense. But this parking lot is designed like it's in suburbia. That brings us to one of the key components that actually decides the mode share of the city, its layout. LA is laid out so that the easiest way to get around is by car. This goes back to when LA was developed. Just around the same time that cars became popular was also when LA experienced a huge boom in population. So instead of getting denser and growing up, LA started to grow out. Just look at this picture from 1926. LA was expanding so quickly that homes were being built literally next to nothing at all. Like a hurricane-induced flood in Florida, LA just kept on spreading. It was experiencing a bona fide suburban boom, and there was no end in sight. But then, LA's flood hit the one thing Florida doesn't have: mountains. And unlike in Texas, where the only thing after 100 dusty miles is another 100 dusty miles, our geography gets in the way. The mountains corralled land developers until there was simply no more room left. And remember the idea of convenience and the stability of the suburbs offered? Well, now everyone's playing. You got a Model T, and so did 1,000 of your neighbors. So today, we live in a city where life is facilitated by cars, therefore everyone has one, and our roads are completely full to capacity. So full, in fact, that when lights turn green, you can't even go through an intersection.
Facts.
And with everyone convinced that driving is the only way to get around, every inch of road space is designed for moving traffic.
Facts.
So, bike lanes, get out of here. And subways, you're gonna have to wait until 2052 at the earliest. And so
2052? At that point, are you even gonna need subways, bro? At that point, is it not gonna be flying cars, bro? Is it not gonna subway in 2052 better be able to teleport me to my destination?
we're stuck in a never-ending doom loop where everybody drives, so every store is designed for drivers, and so more people drive. And so then every store accommodates drivers, and then more people drive.
True.
But what if a place
Constant
wasn't
cycle.
designed like this? What if instead there was a place where urban planners intentionally created a layout that encouraged walking and biking and other modes instead of driving, and the locals didn't even notice? And what if this didn't require sacrificing all the lifestyle amenities of suburbia? Well, I have good news. This place does exist, and I'm gonna take you there.
Let's go.
To get to urbanist paradise, we're gonna have to go on a journey and leave Los Angeles, all the way to...
I said, I'd love to hear from you guys, though. How many of you guys think you could, like, live in Los Angeles? Like, you'd be comfortable. I don't think I'd be comfortable in Los Angeles. I mean, first of all, price-wise, no way on planet Earth I could afford to even live in Los Angeles. But then, I just, when the traffic's so built up that you can't even go through an intersection when your light turn green, that is the one thing I hate is traffic. I hate big towns, big cities. I love being a small town guy where traffic don't build up like that. Only when school gets out and people get off work. Other than that, you're not really going to catch much traffic at all, which is very nice. And even when that happens, it's not like big city traffic. It's just a minor inconvenience or big city traffic. Like, if you might spend your whole night in traffic.
The Netherlands, you guessed it, it's an urban planning channel. What did you think was going to happen? But instead of going to Amsterdam or another large city you might have heard of, we're actually going to go to a little town in the Dutch countryside, the pleasant little town of Houten.
Houten.
And when I got there, I found a grassy little knoll next to a bike path, sat myself down, turned on the camera, and started to explain where I was.
Houten is unmistakably a suburb. It's relatively low density, a lot of attached duplex style homes, some apartment buildings.
However, Houten isn't a run-of-the-mill suburb. Upon visiting the town, Professor Robin Hickman from University College London declared, "Houten is one of those places that we occasionally visit and really blows the mind. A place that makes you think you've seen the future."
What makes Houten special is not that it's not its architecture or its age. It didn't even really exist before the 1980s. When the designers designed this suburb, they, from the first day, had a goal, which is that it was going to be sustainable, and sustainable in its transportation.
Modern-day Houten was planned around a small village with a population around 4,000 in 1970. The original village street was preserved in the heart of the town. The vast majority of the town today was built from the 1980s to the 2010s, with 10,000 homes being built before 2000. Many of these homes have direct access to two-way separated cycle tracks.
And so rather than design the suburb as many suburbs have been designed, which is around the car, they wanted a huge percentage of trips to be made by bikes and walking. And they didn't just do wishful thinking with that. They actually made sure that the infrastructure catered to those types of journeys.
Robert Dirks, a now retired urban planner who devoted much of his career to design the town, masterminded the development of Houten as a new growth center. This development aimed to support the population increase in Utrecht and its vicinity. Houten was envisioned to foster a community-centric environment, promoting interaction among residents and reducing reliance on private vehicles. Beginning in 1979, the project expanded the quaint rural village of Houten with 10,000 new homes, raising its population to 30,000 by the 1990s. Houten Station, operational since 1982 and revamped in 2010, facilitated local commutes to Utrecht within 10 minutes to the north and to Germaldsen to the south. In 2010, the Houten Castellum station was inaugurated to serve the new southern town center and residential districts. The expansion of the neighborhood continues, with its population nearing 48,000 by 2020.
And so today, 64% of trips made within this community are not made by car. That was achieved mainly through
64%. Only 36% of trips are made by car. That is absolutely like mind blowing. Like, that's wild to think about, coming from a country that a car is essential. You're not going to make it without a car. Going to a country where a car, you can have one if you want, but you don't need it. You can get around just as easily by bike, just as easily by walking, just as easily by public transport. Maybe easier those ways. So yeah, you can have a car, but you don't need it. And in this country, yeah, you need a car. It's not even an option.
Designing infrastructure that is very easy to use if you're cycling or walking. So many of the homes, the fronts of them face cycling paths or walking paths.
That is nice.
The car access is behind them, right? So you're already focusing the community on the bike paths.
A new large town center was built next to the old. This is where residents can find their grocery store, schools, and other services, as well as a train station along the line to Utrecht. The fronts of the stores face a car-free street, featuring wide sidewalks, bike lanes, and ample bike parking. Just like with any suburb, you can find your small mall, replete with chain clothing store and brand name food court.
It's not just the fact that there are bike paths. The way that they're laid out is in a network that goes across the entire suburb.
According to Eric Jaffe, New York Bureau Chief for CityLab, a site about urban life by Bloomberg, car traffic is primarily regulated to a ring road that encircles the area.
And this ring road would not be that unfamiliar to an American driver. It has a speed limit around 40-something miles per hour. It's in kilometers per hour, but roughly 40, 45 miles per hour speed limit. It doesn't have many driveways. It's like a highway, right? So that's not unique.
Within that ring is a network of low-speed streets meant primarily for people traveling on foot or by bike. There are 80 miles of bicycle paths alone that connect to two main intercity train stations and most of the area's schools and shops.
The bike paths, the bike network, connects across the entire community, meaning if you're in one of these homes here and you want to go to the market, it's just a much shorter journey physically to go onto that bike path, bike
I
to the
mean,
market,
that, yeah.
get your stuff and bike home, than it is to go get into your car, drive out on one of those roads out to the ring road, use the ring road to go all the way around the community, and then go back onto a different road that goes into the community.
I feel like they just made it so easy to get around by bike or by foot or by public transport. Like, it absolutely encourages you to get around in that form. Because, yeah, most people are going to want to take the shortest amount of time possible. And if it's a shorter time to hop on my bike and go to the store and get back than to hop in a car, then yeah, hand me the bike. Unlike here, people will jump in a car to go literally less than a mile. We'll jump in a car to go less than a freaking mile, bro. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you, I fell in this trap too, bro. I lived right next to a bowling alley when I lived in Texas. Probably from my apartment to get to the bowling alley, we're talking about a 5 to 7 minute walk, like, because it was a big parking lot. So, but more leaning on the 5 minute. But whenever I go to the bowling alley, I would literally just drive my car, and it was in the next building over. So probably like a 30 second drive, bro. 30 second to a minute drive. But that's just like how big cars are here in the U.S. Like, we literally use it for everything. In college, I walked to all my classes my freshman year. I mean, it was easy to walk and get everywhere. I got a car my sophomore year. I didn't walk again. It's crazy, bro.
To get back to the market.
Over the past several decades, the Netherlands has methodically guided the placement of new developments through various reports issued by the Department of Housing, Planning and Environment. And initially, in the 1970s and 1980s, the country adopted a policy of concentrated decentralization, which encouraged development in specified urban areas while limiting the expansion of smaller rural communities. This strategy shifted during the 1980s and 1990s towards encouraging dense urban development, rejuvenating the existing housing infrastructure, banning suburban shopping malls, and directing new job opportunities to areas with efficient public transportation. The so-called VINEX planning strategy, implemented in the Netherlands as part of the Fourth Memorandum on Spatial Planning in the early 1990s, represented a sophisticated approach to urban development and spatial planning. The policy was created after 8 years of consultation and analysis and was meant to govern the planning of a vast part of the country. This policy directed residential expansion towards specific urban areas to foster high-density living with a keen focus on sustainability and integrated urban planning. The essence of VINEX was to counteract urban sprawl by promoting the development of new residential neighborhoods adjacent to or within existing urban centers, thus preserving open spaces and enhancing the efficiency of public transportation systems. This strategy was not merely a continuation of previous policies, but also introduced innovative approaches towards urban development, aiming to balance growth with environmental and social sustainability, including protecting a large undeveloped area known as the Green Heart of the Netherlands.
So it's not that everybody here is some sort of bicycle idealist.
Yeah.
It just turns out that humans make the simplest choices available.
Yeah.
And here, the people who designed this community ensured that the simplest choice available is usually biking or walking, simply because those are the shortest and easiest distances and most direct routes to take to get to a place.
The plan also concentrated future housing, work, and amenities in well-connected locations to reduce dependency on automobiles, thereby supporting more sustainable mobility patterns. However,
when you got everything that you need in just a small radius, it does make life much simpler, right? You never need that car. Everything you need is right around you. Yeah, they built this city perfectly in order to encourage bikes, walking. This city was absolutely designed perfectly.
The authors of VINEX did not want to sacrifice economic success to sustainability. Instead, the plan includes sections on how to create new commercial districts that would be competitive on a national and international level. Concentrating new businesses in already well-connected areas and increasing public transit service would actually enhance the local economy according to the plan. But hold up, what is it actually like being in this place? Okay, so here we are, biking down one of the pathways that I've been talking about, past that business park I just mentioned.
Okay.
But this is where it really struck me how special this place was. We're coming up on one of the larger intersections in the city. And I was just used to, here in America, where you would pull up to the intersection, you'd have to wait at a red light, you'd have to cross while cars made a right turn. Here, the bike path is actually submerged under the roadway.
That's so awesome.
An entire bicycle roundabout.
That's so awesome.
You can see us going through here with different bike paths branching off in every direction that go all across the whole city. So they've taken one of the most dangerous parts of any cycling journey, which is the intersection, which is actually where the majority of crashes happen, and just completely eliminated that possibility by separating the bikes and the drivers from each other. Isn't that great?
Yeah, that's amazing, for sure.
They designed what they wanted into the fabric of the community. And again, the results speak for themselves, with over 64% of trips not being made by car. New housing projects under the Vinix program were planned to include a mix of functions, such as commercial spaces, public services, and leisure facilities, ensuring that these new urban extensions were self-sufficient, yet seemingly integrated with broader urban fabric. Nearly 1 million homes were envisioned to be built under this program between 1995 and 2010, marking a significant intervention in the Dutch housing market and urban landscape. Also, the roads that do include automobiles that aren't the ring road, even those are quite bikeable. They have speed tables, chicanes, none of them are long and straight, so they're very hard to speed on. That's also where all the parking is, so people are pulling in and out. So biking is always sort of the easier choice. And it's also easy to allow your kids to bike by themselves because all of the paths are separated. Today, Houten is a suburb of 50,000 people. There are 415 cars per 1,000 locals, with 36% of households having at least 2 cars.
Dang. 50,000 residents at 50% car ownership, with many owning 2 vehicles. Okay.
Per 1,000 locals, with 36% of households having at least 2 cars. Wow. In other words, it's not that different from the United States.
Yeah.
However, there are over 130 kilometers of fully separated bike paths, color-coded red, so they are intuitive to follow. Cycle mode share is at 28%, walking at 27%, public transport at 11%, and private cars at 34% of trips, according to the Institute for Transportation and Development Policy Europe. In other words, more than half of all trips in Houten are made by non-motorized vehicles.
Yeah.
They also found that only 2% of households don't own a bike, which translates to 3.4 bikes per household. For comparison, the similar government-planned town of Milton Keyes in the United Kingdom has 1.1 bikes per household, or 35% of households with no bike. One of the things I'm noticing being here is that the paths are not multi-use. We're on sort of this multi-use bent in the United States where we say, okay, bikes need their own separate space from the road, so let's make these multi-use paths where people and bikes are on the same thing. No, because that delegitimizes them as a transportation option, because if people are walking there, you can't really get where you're going very quickly. So here they have bike paths, pedestrian paths, and roads, all as separate modes. You can see here behind me is a perfect example. The bike paths are all color-coded red, as they are across the entire country. So you know exactly where you're supposed to be, and the pedestrian paths are usually gray, which is on the other side of these trees here. And then in the case of the roads, they're all different colors of brick.
So bike path red, pedestrian path gray, and then the roads are more brick, but I'm assuming, are they like a black color like in the US, or what's the deal? The situation with that, I'm not sure, but this to have over 100 kilometers of just bike paths is so wild.
Special feature of the town is the villages within a city design, which is created through unique architectural styles defining specific neighborhoods. These include English, Italian, and French style buildings grouped together around parks. The idea behind this design is to create a city of villages, each with its distinctive character. Part of the town is inspired by the Garden suburb with lower density housing, while newer areas feature more contemporary designs. Finally, common open spaces crisscross the town, acting as central axes. These feature bike paths and walkways, as well as lakes and canals. The question is, of course, is this replicable anywhere, especially in the United States? I don't see why the answer is, no. I would say, why not? Again, here the urban planners simply designed what they wanted into the community. They made it so that the easiest choice is taking a bike.
Houten
has been a clear favorite for the Dutch public, which is demonstrated by various economic indicators. Wait times for social housing in the city is 12 to 13 years, while housing costs are significantly more expensive than in neighboring cities. Many families also want to live in Houten due to its reputation as a safe place to raise a family.
Gotcha.
Indeed, the town has high levels of social cohesion. Social research has shown that Houghton's inhabitants are socially very active and that the number of clubs, club members, and club activities is among the highest in the country.
Now back to the States. Apologies.
You've probably heard that the only way to get to a 15-minute urbanist paradise is to increase density. Of course, density does make a lot of things feasible, like high-quality transit and vibrant mixed-use neighborhoods. But what Houten teaches us is that you don't need to give up on all the things that people like about suburbs to get a 15-minute city. You can still have your single-family house, your yard, and your car. It just takes thoughtful and intentional roadway layout and design, and we can get there. Though many places have already been designed for the car, we can retrofit them. First, we'll have to get rid of all those archaic zoning laws that make it impossible to build a place like Houten in the first place. Thankfully, single-family zoning and our obsession with cars seems to be decreasing, but that's the topic for another video. If this trend continues, and we speak out about the importance of designing our neighborhoods with intention and mobility in mind, there could be an urbanist renaissance, and we could even change anywhere in America, even good old Los Angeles.
That's pretty dope.
I'd like to thank my editor, John, for putting this whole thing together. If you like his work, make sure to give him a shout out in the comments.
Yeah, that was a great video, but I guess you could do it in the U.S. I just don't think it would happen due to, I mean, the U.S. is already built upon the foundation of cars, and I don't think the citizens of the U.S. would go for a walking or biking city or but that's just my thoughts, right? I could be absolutely wrong. I think it's absolutely amazing. And for me, it's a great way to get to where you need to go very quickly, but also just a great form of exercise, like getting your steps in, getting biking, great forms of exercise while also the convenience of getting to where you need to go. So y'all talk to me in the comment section. Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed, don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, check out the next. I'll see y'all next time.